I've got this news story about the IMF. Uh, just something to put in the back of your biocomputer, you know, in the back of your brain. The headline is World Debt Hits $152 trillion record. Now, this is the combination of both private and public debt. Last week or earlier this week, I think maybe, I went off on a rather extended rant. I think it was about 3 days ago on Monday or Tuesday this week about how private debt is exploded across the world, and private debt is now back to levels it was at 2008. And private debt, it's not the public debt that's the big crisis. It's not, you know, the national debt. It's the debt that's held by corporations and individuals, private debt. And that private debt is back to those levels, and it's spooking people. But when you combine public and private debt together, it's 3 times the world's GDP. 3 times. Now, this raises 2 interesting points. The first is, if you, and I realize the family metaphor is a lousy one for nations, because nations can print their own money, they can devalue, you know, determine the value of their currency, and with public debt, they can even wipe out their own public debt. The United States could do it right now. Just, you know, mint 19 $1 trillion platinum coins and then hand them to the Treasury to pay off the national debt. It's possible. Ellen Brown and others have suggested this. It's something that's, you know, it probably wouldn't be politically palatable, but it is perfectly legal. But you wouldn't want to pay off the national debt, because when Andrew Jackson did that back in the 1830s, it threw us into the greatest, deepest, and longest depression in the history of the United States, because there was no place that people could park their money that was safe. So you want to have national debt. I mean, you want the government to be issuing treasuries, because that's private savings opportunities. But in any case, when you look at all this, 3 times the GDP is the world's debt. 3 times the GDP of the entire planet is debt. So 2 things out of that. Number one, who holds that debt? Well, the private debt is about 150 trillion of that, right? It's the majority of it, private debt. Public debt just hit about $220 trillion. Or total debt just hit about $220 trillion. So a little less than 100 trillion of that is public debt. So, I mean, keep in mind, the GDP of the planet is around 56 trillion, and we have $150 trillion in just private debt. Who's holding that private debt? Banks, by and large. And who is being paid interest on that private debt? Banks, by and large. And in fact, in the United States, the banks got legislation passed that the federal government cannot even sell treasuries directly to investors. They have to, I mean, there's a couple of small carve-outs for these small amounts, you know, where you can buy bonds, but actual treasuries, they've got to go through the big New York banks. So Wall Street makes money no matter what. This is a banker subsidizing, I mean, it's like all the money in the world, literally, is being used to subsidize banks. This is not what banks are designed for. I mean, I realize it's very profitable, and it's why bankers are making a fortune. It's why John Stumpf and his buddies are, and you know, Jamie, what's his name with Chase or Citi, Jamie Dimon. It's why these guys are rich, and their directors are rich, and their senior executives are rich. But it's not good for the economy. It's not good for the world. And frankly, I think it's a very, very dangerous trend. So the two takeaways, number one, this is great for the banks. The banks are making a fortune. It's terrible for us. And it is setting up a situation where the big crash could be coming any time.